Alright, I'm getting the headlights and fenders put on. Got both fenders and the driver's headlight already in. Just tested the bulbs in this light, everything's good. Also had to do a little touch-up paint down here on this rebar. Just did that. While that's drying, I'm going to replace what I can of this padding that was on the fender. There were two, one on either side of this hole. There's two rubber strips just to keep the headlight, I guess, from rubbing and making noise on the fender. I don't have any of that, but I've got some of this felt tape. It's probably 1/16 thick or less. But I'm just going to stick strips of this felt tape along here, which is really all I can do. Maybe it'll stay. These pins will go into those holes, these two pins. And as long as there's some pressure on the fender, they'll stay on there. I'm going to go ahead and put that on. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. And I'll have the front end complete except for the bumper. Alright, here it is with the felt. Maybe a little hard to tell. I'm going to try to get it to focus on that. I just stuck one little piece on either side of the holes. I keep a roll of that. It's probably, actually had a strip here that I ripped to a narrow dimension, but it's probably 3/4 wide. I just got a roll of it from Amazon years ago. I'll never use it all. I've got that stuck, so now I'm going to put the headlight in, get it fit and bolted down. Got all the wiring already clipped in, ready to go. So I'm going to get that in, then I'll be able to wash all the sanding sludge out of here. I didn't want to wash it because I didn't want to get water into the connectors for the headlights. So now that it's sealed, I can mount the headlight and just rinse all this off with a hose. And once I get the front bumper repainted, then I'll put it on and have the front finished. Alright, I'm going to have to get the airbag module reset after all. Even with the new sensors, the codes did not clear. And I think they were kind of a permanent hard code. If I looked up the right one, I think it was for the module being bad, basically, with an internal failure. So I'm going to pull the module out now. I got the screws out. It's got 3 of these T30 head screws. They're very hard to get to. It's put in before the dash and heater box and all that, so there's really no way to get a socket straight down on it unless you've got a small short one of these. I've got a 3/8 drive. I'm going to go buy a 1/4 inch. I've just been needing one to do this anyway. I need one that's 1/4 inch drive and a little shorter, and I can be able to get my 1/4 inch ratchet in there. Let's see if I can turn the light on here. Alright, I've got a light on now. There's the module. You can see where 2 of the screws go, right on the side of it. There's 2 connectors, and there's 1 more screw on the other side towards the front. I'm going to send this off and have it reset, and that'll clear any crash data and any airbag codes that are stored in it. That should turn the light off. I'm going to get this off tonight, in the next couple minutes, get the connectors off, and I'll package it up and send it off, and I'll have it back in probably a week. It's a 24-hour turnaround, but that's just after they get it. They turn it around that quick, but it'll still take a few days over there and a few days back. Alright, I've got the box out. This is what it looks like. Just got those 2 main connectors. I didn't mention earlier, but you do need to disconnect the battery for several minutes before you disconnect this. And I'm not going to turn the key on until I get the thing back. That way it won't set any codes in any other modules for a loss of communication with this. So I'll send this off. I'm going to leave the car sitting here. I could take it out of gear manually just with this. And I'd have to turn the key on if I need to roll it out and roll it back in. But I'm going to try to leave it sitting here until I get the module back. Plug it in, reconnect the battery for a few minutes, then turn the key on for the first time after this is in. And I'll be able to see if the light will go out. And here's a close-up of the connectors. This lever actually has to open up. It goes back, when you plug it in, it goes back flush with the connector. But you've got to drop this little tab right here down. Just push it down with a screwdriver. And while you got that down, you can pull back with the tab at the bottom. Just open it up. It'll open up about as much as it is right there. Then the connector will just pull straight out. Same thing with the other one. It's just mirror image of it. When you get this thing packaged up, get a label on it and get it out of here. I'll also write the last 6 of the VIN, or either the whole VIN on the back of this thing, just in case it gets mixed up. When they send it back to me, I'll know that this is the one I sent them. Just visually, they could possibly send me the same thing back just from another car, and I wouldn't even know it. So I put at least part of the VIN and maybe some other random mark somewhere where I'll know it's mine when I get it back. I've got the front end together, got the fenders on. I can't really tell any difference in the color. This was the one that I butt matched to the door. When I get it out in the sun, it may show, but typically I can tell it in here under these fluorescent lights in the wall that it's going to be any different or not. But so far it looks pretty good. Honestly, I think the blend over here may be more visible than the butt match over there. I still got to get the bumpers painted, and that'll have the front end done. I've got the grill still in the bumper from when I test fitted it. I got to pull the grill out, and I need to clean the bumper again. It's been sitting around for a couple of months now, and get it scuffed. And I'll have it painted pretty soon here and get it on the car, and the front end will be finished. Then I'll turn it around and finish the back. I still need to paint at least the bottom of the trunk, and I may end up doing a little repair at the top, right at the back end, and then I'll just blend the color up and then clear the whole trunk lid. Alright, I've gotten back on the trunk lid. It was actually pushed in the center, in towards the car, so it's actually hitting the striker and hitting the seal here before it comes down far enough to seal up here, and it's sitting a little bit high on the edges, or on the outside edges. So they've gotten the latch out. There's just 2 bolts in the latch right there. Took those out, took the cable and the wiring connector off. And I've bolted in a piece of chain here that just happens to be the exact length I need. I'm pulling it down. Let me go set the camera on the tripod and I'll show you what I did to pull it out. I probably pulled it out a good 1/2 inch. I'd actually tried to push the trunk lid back, but like I suspected, it was just bending the hinges and not the trunk. I wanted to bend the trunk right in there. You can see that. I needed to bend this right here open so that I could get the lid down further before it actually caught the latch. And dropping the striker is not really going to help because it's not sealing in here. Excuse me. So what I did was I took a big thick leather glove, since I've got the rebar painted already. I don't want to scar it up. Took a big thick leather glove. I've run the pipe through the chain as far as I can get it down. Hooked it through the chain like this, and just use that as a lever and pull it back. And I don't know if you can see that, but the trunk lid is flexing like this, and I am stretching the hinges out a little bit. I've overstretched this, got it past where I need it to go, and I may actually have to loosen the hinges now and up here where the hinge bolts to the trunk and slide it forward. But at least now I've got it to where the trunk will come down all the way. See, it's coming down. It was sticking up maybe 1/8 of an inch back here, too tall or too high. Let me grab the camera again. I'll show you what the body line looks like. You can see it's coming down where it needs to go, but the body line's not lined up. I need to push the trunk lid forward. But down inside now, it's really, really close to sealing all the way around. I'm just going to have to move it forward. You can also see that here that the stopper is not quite touching yet. So I'm going to move it forward, and I rebend the ends of it. Originally I'd pulled the outside edges out, so I've got to recrown it. I got to get this a little bit tighter. So once I get the trunk lid in to where this body line matches up, push it forward probably 1/8 of an inch. Get that to be in the right place. And also push this back down while leaving that braced to re-arc it. That should be perfect. Be right back. Alright, what I need to do is push it in probably 1/16 of an inch, maybe 1/8. I don't think I need to go quite that far. But I can't quite get it to push in and stay where I want it to stay. If I could push hard enough on this, I probably could. So the option is to enlarge these holes or slot these holes out where I can slide the trunk lid forward just a hair. I think what I might do in order to avoid that is to maybe prop it up right here, disconnect this hinge, pull it down, and then hit the front of it to push the hinge in slightly and just bring it back up and bolt it in. I think I'm going to try that first. I'll go ahead and get it set up and show you that in a minute. Alright, here's the plan. I need it in this position so that when I hit the hinge, it'll push it in that way. If I hit it down this way, if the trunk lid was out of the way, I would just pull. It may have the same effect, but I would end up pulling down on the mount. I want to push everything in. So I'm going to hold it here and hit the end of it with a block of wood so I don't damage the face of it. And just see if I can get it to go in some. I won't know until I bolt it back to the trunk if it had any effect. Alright, I'm going to try that. It's pretty springy, but we'll get it bolted together and we'll see where we are. Okay, maybe you can see this. It is better. I didn't want to go too far at first. That line it's almost there now. I'll probably go to the other side and do the same thing. It needs about the same adjustment. I'll go over there and do the same thing so that I can bring it in evenly. I'll do the same over here, come back and do that again, go to the other side again, and hopefully that'll have it. Back in just a minute. Okay, I think I've got it. I tried to disconnect this one, pull it down, but it's got the wiring attached to it all in here, and then I would have had to pull all the wiring out of the trunk lid to do that. So on this side, I over drilled the hole by about a 32nd of an inch. That wasn't quite enough, so I over drilled just with a regular drill bit so I could go all the way through. I would use a step drill if I had just done the outside, but I had to go all the way through it. I went from a 9/32 hole to an 11/32 hole, so it's just barely moved it. You can see where the paint mark is. Moved it 32nd of an inch. The hole is a 1/16 bigger, so it moved it down half that distance. So now I've got it to where body line is basically flowing straight through. And I've got it coming down most of the way. I'm just have to put the latch back in it to test it, but this side, same thing, body line, lining up, coming down. Mostly even here is the main thing, so the tail lights will match up. I'm going to get the latch back in it, latch it down and see where, if I've got any gaps in the seals on the side or not. The bottom should still be touching, but if it's not, I'll push the bottom in if I pulled it a little too far. And then I'll adjust these bumpers if they're making contact too early, but I think they should be fine where they are. All right. Okay, I think I've got the trunk as close as I'm going to get it. I put a piece of tape on here to see where it's latching. It's actually right towards the back, and I've got this down as far as it'll go, and I actually did have to slot it slightly to get it to pull the trunk down nice and tight, even after I slid the trunk lid forward on the hinge. Essentially got it down in position where it needs to be. Got this edge here lined up on both sides. So I think that's going to be fine there. I did have to go in, and there was a little bit of a bow in the trunk lid right here, so I wasn't quite sealing on the seal there. So I had to go in here with a block of wood. This is not the frame. This in here is the frame part that's actually sealing. So I had to knock that in, get the crown out of it. So I put a couple tiny ripples in that, and I came back on the outside. Let me reopen it again. Under here, put some outward dents in this part, and I came back with a door skin hammer and flattened all those back out. Now I'm going to come back through here, since I had one here anyway, just from the accident. I'm going to come back in here and just rework these and get them ready for some filler. I'm just going to wipe this with filler just so I can flatten it out. Doesn't really need filler, but that'll make sure it's nice and flat so that it'll seal properly. And I'll just come in here and I'll spot paint this section. And if you can tell, right there actually is pushed in. That ridge should just run straight through here. Like this side right here. This ridge ought to just come through here smooth. So what I'll have to do is come back behind here and tap that little outward dent down, and probably weld a couple of studs right there and just pull this out just enough for this part right here to seal. And I'll end up having to repaint really from about right here just down to this this section right here at the bend. Just paint this inner part of the jamb. But I think I've got the gist of it done. I think that's going to get it. It's at least fits now. Once I rework the jamb, I think I'll be fine. This right here will actually, when I pull all this out, this is going to tighten this up. I think I'll get a little more contact in there. So from here, it's just going to be body work. I've got a pretty good bit of it on the trunk lid to do. So at least now I can quit worrying about whether or not I can save it. I think I'll be able to save it. All right, I'm going to run through the damage with you. Just to show you everything you've got to do here. Paint got chipped right here on the corner when the tail light, I guess, when the tail light was actually, it was shattered. So I think that's what caused this. So I'm going to have to sand through that just to put a little primer over it, get rid of the rust. Seam sealer's broken in here. What I'm going to do is when I get this ready to paint, I'm just going to wipe seam sealer back in here and seal it off. Looks like it's good from about here and back, and then from about right here and up. It's just right here in the little corner. Got a little bit of a, well, maybe not anything right there, it just looked like it was. Maybe something right there on each side. I don't think that's even visible really. That may have been like that before. But anyway, I got a dent here and an imprint of the frame in the edge there. And that's pretty much all the way around where it flexes. You got the imprint of the hem flange behind it all the way down here, all the way up this side. This is the deepest part. That's going to be stretched a little bit. Same thing on the sealer right there. Wipe sealer in that. And there's a little bit of a wave. See if I can get an angle where you can see it. Right there. And that might have been from somebody pushing on the gate or the trunk lid. And I'm going to fill just right in there a little bit. Since I'm going to have primer on the lower half and up here anyway, it's not going to be any more work really to put a little there. I'm going to blend the color up. I got a chip on that edge. I think there might be a chip on this edge too. Yeah, a little bit on the edge. So I'll blend the color up here to this crease, and then I'll just clear the whole gate. Keep calling it a gate, but I think I have that other forward tailgate in my mind still. Trunk lid. So I'm going to put one stud in here, the low spot, and just lift it a little bit to get some of the tension off. I'm not going to pull it all the way out because that's going to leave a really high spot and stretch it there, but I want to pull it up a little bit, see how this is going to react. Got a kink in it. That's going to be probably the most difficult area to repair right in there. Because I can't get studs in there yet. I'm going to have to pick this up a little bit and try to open up that fold to get some studs down in there. And then right in here, I don't think it's really as bad as I thought, but a little damage right here behind the tag, and a little bit up there, and kind of an outward dent here, but I think I'm going to be able to knock that in. Probably put a couple of studs here and pull up and knock that in with some pressure upwards on that. Same thing in here, something similar. And I'm not worried about all this in here. I'm going to straighten it, but I'm not going to worry about getting it perfect. The tag's going to cover up from about right here over to here. So I'll get it close, you know, to where it's not obvious, but there's going to be a tag over it all the time, so it's not a big deal to have it perfect. I've got the bumper on it, and I forgot that these bumpers under here actually stop on the bumper cover itself, so there's going to be a gap between this and the rear body panel like I had earlier. So this is perfect. This is coming down. I've got something hooked in the latch now holding it. Let me show you how it fits. Still looks good on the edges. Got a pretty good gap all the way around. I've only got it halfway snapped in. I left that out just so I can get it back off. I just had it on there for the test fit. But I think that's going to work. I'm going to double check that it's even, that I have an even width here all the way around. But just eyeballing it, it looks pretty darn close. So for right now, I'm going to body work the trunk, and then I'll come back once I get that area pulled out and this little area here and work this. I'll see where I am after that. Okay, I've got that one stud right in the low spot. I'm going to try to use this stud buddy to lift it up. If this won't get it, I may have to shut it and latch it, jerk it out with the slide hammer. See what we can do here. Okay, pulled it up. A little further than I wanted it to go, but it just popped out. Once it kind of transitioned from going in to going out, it just released. I'm going to try to go up through here and pull a few out. I've got to get this opened up here before I can actually pull it. I can't get, it's so tight I can't get anything in there to pull it with. Be right back. Alright, I'm getting close. I'm definitely not proud of this, but I'm going to have to save this trunk lid. It'll blow the budget if I don't. I'm going to try to weld these holes back up where it pulled through. It's just super tight in here. What I did was I worked my way from the outside in, ran a row across the top and pulled a little bit, ran another row, pulled, another row here, pulled, till I got it all out. This side's looking pretty good. It's just this over here. I'm gonna take all the studs off now. There's no way to get behind it really to push it out or hammer and dolly any of it. So what I'm gonna do is take all the studs off, see where I am, and then probably put some more in all these low spots. And while I'm pulling out on the studs, I'll tap the high spots back in. And this part is actually torn in here. I don't know if you can see it. The metal's torn. There's a hole through right there, that dark spot. So once I get all this pulled out, I'll weld up what I can, and I'll weld up that hole there. But I got to get these out of the way so I can grind this out a little bit and put some more studs in it. Be back when I get it all pulled out. Okay, I went ahead and put a few over here. This one really wasn't bad at all. I think I've got it pretty straight here. It's pretty late right now. I'm not going to run the grinder in the garage, but if you can see the reflection of my hand in it, it's pretty flat. I'll be back when I get ready to put some body filler on. I got to do a few more studs in here and just some hammer work, but I'll be back when I get ready for body filler. Alright, I think I've got it about as close as I'm going to get it. The more I weld and grind on it, the thinner I'm going to get it. And it's just going to turn into a major oil can if I don't watch it. It's actually quite tight. Tighter than I expected. I've got 4 pins still in here in the crease. I was able to get, you know, it's pretty well flat. But I'm gonna have to go in. I can't get the grinder in there. I'm gonna have to go in with the cutoff wheel and just shave these out. And I'm gonna try to weld up this top hole. I may end up having to leave some of these because the steel's so thin. It's just the welder's just gonna blow through it. And I can go with fiberglass filler. If I go with that, it'll be okay. That's what it's made for anyway. I'm gonna coat the back side really well with cavity wax, so there shouldn't be a corrosion problem. But I really don't want to try to weld it and just blow through it and make it worse. I've got one over here, one here. Most of them are over here where it was really tight. These are fairly large. I'd say they're 3/16 diameter. They're not huge. I'd like to fill them in, but I really don't want a chance blowing through it and making it worse. It's paper thin as it is, and plus I've been grinding on it, so I'm gonna try to weld up the top one just because it's on a corner there. I think I can weld that, maybe just aim the welder down and build it up. I'll come back and grind it off. I think I'm gonna leave it there. I'm just gonna put probably 1 to 2 layers of fiberglass filler just to get it level, and then I'll finish it off with regular body filler. I think that's gonna be it for this area. I've got these done. I just need to grind the studs off. I've cut them, but I need to grind them smooth, and I'm gonna just do this with I may put 1 layer of fiberglass on that to start with too, just while I've got it mixed for the other side. But that's going to be it for the sides. I'm going to come in here and work a little bit of this and do what I can on the inside where the license plate goes, and that's going to be it. I'll be back when I get ready to do some filler. Alright, I got everything where I'm going to leave it. I was able to weld that area up. Took a little effort, but I got it to work. Filled that in. Actually I ran a little bead to fill in that area that I couldn't get pulled up. It's not completely full, but it's at least got some more steel in there now. I welded up, I believe it's those 2 holes right there. I was able to weld up the 2 larger ones. I'm not going to push my luck with the small ones. I'm just going to leave it right there. I don't want to put too much more heat in it. I'm going to go get some fiberglass filler. Put 1 wipe on this, and I'll cut it down. If I need to put 1 more layer, I will, but I think it's going to be okay with 1. We'll see. Probably going to put a little bit here and just a little bit here to get it started since I'll have it mixed up. May even put a little bit right there. Everything's as straight as I can get it. I've gone around and tapped that area right in there where it bent around the frame at the hem. Tapped that down the best I could. I'm going to come through here and grind this flat and just put regular body filler over that. But I'm going to put the fiberglass on now so it can set up. Then I'll go on to the regular filler after that. It's a little over 80 degrees in here, so I'm going to have to put this on pretty quickly to be able to get it on all these spots. I'm going to go mix it up, be right back. Setting up. Barely get it mixed before it does that. Let that harden up and I'll buzz it down and put another layer on it, I guess. Alright, I got the fiberglass filler on. This is the second layer here. Most of the first one I just sanded off just to get it scuffed. Ended up taking probably half of it off. Put a little in that spot. I actually went back and mixed some more to do this because that set up on me when I was doing it too. The spot in here, and I just started this area just because I had a little bit left. I'll sand most of that back off. That's just going to give me a base over those welded spots. I'm going to come back and block this out. I don't think I'll need any more fiberglass there, but I'm going to block it flat. I may even go get the grater now that it's set up. Grate it flat. I think I may just do that real quick. Alright, I'm going to hit it with the grater just real quick to see how flat I've gotten it. There's a slight arc this way, so I'm having to go back and forth. If you wait until it gets hard, it's impossible to cut it with this, so I'm doing it while it's still soft. Still a little low right there, but the regular body filler will get that. Alright, Alright, I'm going to let that set up nice and hard so I can probably get an air file and cut across it with 80 grit. Maybe even go with 40 to start with. Let's see. I don't know if I have any 40 grit left, but I'll let that set up for a little while. Alright, I'm going to run the air file over it. I did have some 40 grit that was already on it, so I'm just going to hit that, get it close with 40. Don't want to go too far because I still need to buzz it down with 80 grit on DA to get ready for the body filler. I'm going to have to go get the hatch jammer dropping on me. I need to be able to put a little more pressure on it. Alright, I got it installed. I'll show it to you in a minute when I get done sanding. Alright, I think that's good enough to hit it with the DA now around the edges. I'll show you the tool now. Alright. Here's the, I think they call it the door jammer or something like that from Stack. I think there's some better ones out there, but this is the one I've got. It's just got a stud that goes through the latch. You just latch it to that. This is made to rest against the door, which I'm not using here. And it's just got an adjustment down there that you cinch down on the latch from the striker with wing nuts. It's not 100% tight, but it's pretty close. Alright, I've got it all in 80 grit. I feathered out the edges, feathered that back so I could get body filler on that. Not have a hard edge. This stuff doesn't feather as well as regular body filler does. I've got it feathered into this. This is low, all this in here. There's a little damage running through here, and this spot here is low. I've got fiberglass in that. That right there's a low spot. I've got the paint off this side. I need a little bit of filler right in there where I knocked down the ridge that was in it. Essentially going to wipe this area right in here, a little bit there, and probably from here all the way over where I've got the metal exposed, I'm going to wipe, plus that. I need to put a little bit up in here too. I'm not going to go crazy in there since it's going to get covered up. License plate's going to come over right in here somewhere. But I am going to level it off as much as I can, but I'm not going to get too worried about that. I'll be back when I got the filler on it. Okay, here's the final body work on the trunk lid. I'm in a hurry right now. We got potential hailstorm coming in. I've got to get this primer on here so I can get all the cars inside. I'm going to try to get all these cars in. I got mine right there halfway in, but I'm going to try to move those two in further and get mine in front of them. I'm going to spray the epoxy just straight over the metal so it can sit while I move the cars around. Then I can come back and put the 2K urethane over that. But I did the best I could on this. I think it turned out pretty nice, but I'm going to go ahead and get the epoxy on now, and I'll be back when it's ready for the other primer. Alright, the epoxy's set up for probably an hour on the Accord here. I'm going to mix up, or I've already mixed up the urethane primer. It's 7704 Chromax. I've got probably 4 or 5 ounces. I'm going to do this, and also I've got some spots on that Civic over there I'm doing with it. You can go ahead and spray it on now. I'll be back for 2 more coats after this. May not film those, it's pretty much the same thing. I'll be back when I get ready to paint it for sure.